but there's always one or two things you hear that you're like, yeah, I like the way that did. That helped out, like Knapp's idea of the stopwatch on mesh to force those guys to get across faster. I hear that you're like,
That's
yeah,
a
I like the
little
way
thing that's
that
easy.
did. I thought it would make us
That
better.
helped out, like.
Yeah, no doubt. I looked at some of the stuff that he was doing, and I got to stop with all the West Virginia jokes because them cats are smart up there, man. His scripting clinic towards the end was really good, and I got a lot out of that. I kind of like how Chris has 3 zones instead of 5 zones. I think that's a little bit more applicable for high school.
No doubt.
I know Coach Mummy has 5 different zones, but Chris kind of put it in coming out, going in, and kind of middle of the field, and it kind of made it a little bit easier. It's kind of hard for me because when you talk about air raid, you talk about being simple. And if you guys didn't check out, if you don't follow Coach Mack on Twitter and play fast football, he did a video today on what is the air raid. He had talked to a bunch of different air raid guys, and he said, and I was talking to him a little bit today in some DMs, and he said, Coach, I talked to 30 different people, and everybody said something different, and he just was. So he came out and talked a little bit about air raid, and some of the things that he said were really, really, pertinent to what we were talking about at the clinic Sunday or Saturday, more about, small offense, process oriented, rep driven, and things like that. And so I really like those 3 plays. And if you haven't checked out Coach Mack's video, go over to his YouTube channel. You probably follow him on YouTube. He's got some stuff, and he's got a big clinic in January too, Coach. We're ready to go down to Florida. He's in St. Augustine. The Play Fast clinic. It's at a nice little hotel resort place and everything. So if you haven't checked that out, it's Play Fast Football. He's got a great thing down there that you guys want to check out. I know he has a few rooms left. I think he said something like 20-some rooms left for that deal. What else did you pull away? Because I know we're going to talk about Coach Salas's talk in a minute, but anything else that you kind of got out of that?
I'm not giving Salas any more props, man. He don't need any more. Now I tell you, one of the things I really liked about that clinic was, there was probably more give and take between the audience and the speakers at that clinic than I've ever been to before. I really thought both sides made it it wasn't just guys presenting. There was guys talking. They were offering ideas. They were asking questions. I mean, it really became a real good learning tool, I thought. And I thought it turned out great.
Yeah, like I said, I think the fact that we just kind of paused and would interject on each other, and they took a ton of questions, and we didn't mind getting off time frame because it was all day pretty much one niche topic, and so if we had to go over, if we had to reduce, and if we found out something was going to be redundant, we changed. I mean, I changed at the last minute and talked about practice schedules because Nap kind of had crossed over into what I was going to speak on, and it was no sense in doing that twice. So I really enjoyed that piece. But like I said, Coach Salas, he brought the house down really right after lunch, coming back talking about building a culture, and I know after he talked, I was ready to snap it up and go play, and I was really excited about some things. And speaking of culture, I'm really excited about what we got on the podcast tomorrow. Got Coach Randy Jackson out of Texas. He's the author of the TPW book and Culture Over Strategy, and I'm so excited to have him on, and hopefully we can work out the technology to get Coach Salas on too. It won't be in our regular studio. We'll do it at school during lunchtime or whatever because Coach Jackson's schedule is kind of hard, but I'm so excited to talk to him. He's sold over 5,000 copies of his book, Culture Over Strategy. And Coach Salas talked Saturday about doubling down on culture. And those of us who are been head coaches or want to be head coaches again, I think it's just a topic you got to address. And let's see if we got any questions that have popped in yet on the air raid chat.
Just popped up.
Okay, what we got? What is your favorite play out of Gray Tan Pistol 2-backs? What information do you want from Coach in the box? Coverage or leverage? Number 3, we talked about this quite a bit Saturday on stick, shoot route or swing route. Do you pull your lineman on 38, 39? Why or why not? So, basically we're talking about pin and pull tonight, which I'm really excited about doing a little bit more of. I guess, my time with them Wing T boys, kind of got me excited about pin and pull. I just like it as a good change up. And And you talked about that too some Saturday when you were talking about running counter. We won't share a lot of that because some of that we turned the video off on. But, being a gap scheme team, allows you to be a little bit tougher. I think it was the consensus in the room. Now, I mean, that's nothing against inside zone teams because, Alex Gibbs' Denver Bronco teams were some of the toughest teams in the NFL, and they were just outside zone guys. So you can be tough running outside zone and stuff like that. But, the gap scheme at the high school level is definitely a lot more physical, I would think, just because you don't have guys who are power cleaning, 360 and benching 400 like you do in the NFL and stuff like that. All right, so where you want to start, Coach? You want to start on what you hear from the box, favorite play out of two-back? What you got?
Well, I'll leave the pistol stuff to you. That's more your bailiwick. I'm not a big pistol guy. As far as the box, man, I'm anything that helps on the far side. To me, when I'm on the sideline, if I'm not the box guy, I always have trouble with the far side of the formation. So
yeah,
don't mind getting a little bit of help on coverage and leverage. I want to know. I'm always real concerned what the walk is doing on the other side. Whoever the flat defender is, or the outside linebacker, strong safety, whoever they've walked up, I want to know what that cat's doing and where he's lining up, because a lot of what I called kind of depends on that.
Well, I did a video about a month ago. Well, actually, it was a little bit longer than that. It was right at the beginning of football season, talking about game day responsibilities. And I'll try to put a link to that in the description when we put this up on YouTube. But I did a video talking about what each person on your staff needs to be doing. Do you kind of relegate those guys to, this is what I want you looking at, this is what I want you looking at? I mean, just kind of off the top of your head, how do you break that down? Because what I find is that a lot of guys just want to watch the game sometimes and forget that we have specific duties.
No, I mean, our staff is that's critical stuff. Like my job, I'm watching the backfield actions. From snap to handoff to balls out. That's what I'm watching. I don't watch the coverage a whole lot unless I know it's a pass. Then I'll flip my eyes down to whatever the read is and try to make sure my quarterback's doing the right thing on that. But I watch the backfield action. Our press box guy watches he generally watches the backside corner and walk for us, and he'll kind of help with coverage. Mm-hmm. Our head coach, who stands, on the opposite end of the field, he's kind of doing the front, and then on the front, and he'll watch the backside of the run game. Our O-line coach watches the front side of the run game. And then we have our running back coaches are in charge of substitutions. And then my second receiver coach, he tries to help out just with, he signals with me, but he also just tries to help out with, just kind of getting a general
right
coverages.
Gotcha. But like I said, we're just, we're in a situation where, a lot of times you're at a smaller school, your staff just isn't quite big enough to break it down. So I know if you have a smaller staff, I've been on a staff where you had one guy on the box and, one guy signaling and that was it. So I try to break it down. I think, I've always had my O-line guy watch the front. My running back coach tended to watch, the second level, looking for outside blitzes and things like that. I wanted the receiver coach to kind of look at, the edge players, like you're saying, what's the flat guys do? And then, me being the play caller and stuff, I'm always concerned with, what the roof looks like and kind of the overall secondary picture. So, yeah, I think that's really important to really delineate where guys are and what they're supposed to be doing. And it really gives you an opportunity to be more effective, definitely.
I'll tell you one thing now that I think has changed the game at the high school level that the college guys don't have, or the pro guys. We actually have the video now. I mean,
yeah.
Whether you have TVs on the sideline like we do, or even just the iPad, the fact that we're filming and shooting that film down to the sideline, and as soon as our series is over, I'm going to the tent with all the skill players, going over what's actually happening on that field, making corrections and seeing what's happening right before we go out. And the defense does the same thing when we're on the field. I think that's changed the game a little bit at our level.
Yeah, it does. If you can get it to work. I mean, my problem is not to talk about a certain company or what happens, but we tend to always have problems with that being active on
Yeah.
Friday night. For us, it was almost like I didn't want to get used to it because we didn't know if it was going to work or not, and it just but it is nice to have, and the games that we really could count on it working, effectively is definitely a game changer. If you have that sideline package or whatever it is, and I know there are several. So hey, if you guys use that stuff, give us a shout on Twitter or in the chat here, and let us know what company you use and what package you use, because I'm sure there's other options than just the typical video exchange company package, because I know everybody's trying to find different modes of getting in there.
Well, I'll tell you, Sportscope, we actually we didn't go with the one you're talking about because I've just heard so many horror stories. But we had a different company before that, and was hit or miss as well. We switched companies 2 years ago. Best thing we've done. That company, we use Sportscope, and it has been fantastic.
What's the name of the company? How do you say it again?
Sportscope.
Scope. Oh, okay.
Sportscope.
Scope. Okay, I have to check that out. I just put that in the chat for you guys. That's the one. Coach Wood says they use GameStrat. I've never seen GameStrat. I'm gonna have to check that out. I'm going to AFCA this year, so I'm sure I'll see it when I get up there. But that is a big thing. And in the comments, how many of you guys have iPads on the sideline? That's such a big thing now, and like you said, I think that has a big effect on what you ask your box coaches to do. Like I said, because I don't need you to necessarily look at the whole picture. I just need you to look at little things because I can see the whole picture in between plays and things like that. Coach Ray says, can the air raid be successful without kids that can't catch the ball consistently?
That's a tough one.
That's like being a running team who fumbles a lot.
Yeah.
It doesn't work out so well. I will say this. I do believe that you can teach kids to catch the football. I do not believe in this whole idea of, oh, well, he can't catch, coach. He can't do this. Catching is so much about focus. I think, one of the things that we did at Red Springs is we spent so much time in Neuse Drill. We spent time in the off season catching tennis balls. And I'm telling you right now, get in good with your tennis coach. Because if that joker has a lobster, you want to use it in the gym in the spring. Fire that thing off and let them kids catch 50 or 100 tennis balls, make a game out of it. If you're lucky enough to have a jugs machine or something like that, just crank that thing up, man. I mean, we did it at the college level. We'd pop that jugs machine in. Guys would come in between classes and catch balls and do different things like that. Just when they wanted to, they'd be like, "Yo, coach, let me get the key." They go down there and get the jugs machine out, and they would just catch. And, I think just like anything else, with reps, you can get good. Don't you, Shane? I mean, it's...
Oh, yeah. No, I've had teams that struggled with that, and all those things you just said made them better. I'm with you. There's nothing better than having that lobster machine. We'd do a workout, and then part of our workout, our skilled guys would jump out there and catch a basket of balls. And we'd have a little milk crate full of tennis balls, and they'd catch a crate. You get so many reps in such a short period of time, and focusing on a small target, having soft hands, all the things you want, making a good noose, tracking the ball with your eyes. You're getting 100 reps with that ball machine every single day. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think, like you said, it's just a matter of finding ways to do those things. Back in the day, they had the old balls on the string. You could do those. I don't really see those a lot anymore, but, the ball and the string, a lot of people use. Just that lobster, though, is big time. And so like really the tennis balls in the weight room for the skill guys, and then Coach Mummy would tell you jump ropes for the big skill guys. So
that's right.
You guys go jump rope, you guys go catch balls, that kind of thing. And Coach Banfield says we have an iPad on the sideline and 2 in the box. He said his job was to give it to the OC or the DC. Hey, man, that's a big job. I'm telling you right now, we had one of the JVs that was with us at Grays Creek, and that was his job. Go get me the iPad. And I'd say, look, if something happens, whether it's sudden change or we go back on the field or whatever it is, you just find me and get this iPad and make sure I get it back. And that's really, really important. Things that, we never thought we would have worried about 20 years ago when we first started. Let's see. Basically, stick, shoot or swing, Coach?
Shoot route all the way.
You're a shoot route guy. See, I'm a swing route guy.
I know. So Salas.
Yeah.
I just, to me, the shoot route makes the defense make a decision faster.
And I don't disagree with that. My issue is I like the swing because it creates more space between the running back and the outside backer.
It does, but my problem with that has always been I don't want to have to run 5 yards to break even. If I catch the shoot route, I know I've got 3 yards. If I break one tackle, I've got a lot more. Where when I catch that thing at 5 yards, if it's a good outside linebacker corner now, they can triangle me off at, line of scrimmage to 1 yard. And,
right.
I always struggled with that part of it. I just think it all happens faster, and I like the fact it's positive yardage on the catch.
Yeah, I mean, and those are good points, and it's tomato to a lot of people.
Oh, no.
I know Coach Mackey says that some years, he wants to throw swing, but his quarterback throws shoots better, and his kids are like, yo, Coach, we'd rather run the shoot, or we'd rather want to do this. But my problem is, I think the swing gives the quarterback a bigger picture. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense, the window is bigger.
It's an easier throw.
It's a much easier throw in my opinion, but I think it just doesn't cloud the window as much, And now we could definitely get into another part of that. Is we can always talk about how you read it. Some people want to go peak stick swing or peak stick shoot. Some people want to go peak swing stick. And I'm a peak swing stick guy, and I know you are too because we're old school, but.
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm actually a stick first.
Say what?
I'm peak stick shoot route.
Oh, my J's. Shane.
They call it stick for a reason. You're trying to throw the damn stick around.
Well, I think by reading the swing, you get the stick, don't you?
I got a shoot route going out there, so I think it's a little different. But
with the shoot, I think with the shoot, I don't. And I was now that I think about it, I would agree with you though. If I was gonna run a shoot, I probably would read stick first because it's not going to open up as fast.
Yeah, and I don't mind throwing. I'm probably a little different than some guys because of how we teach the tight turn and drop step and get vertical. I don't mind throwing that into a tight window. So even if that walk doesn't get all the way out there on the shoot route, we're probably going to stick it. Our rule's always been if you can stick it, stick it. So we're going to put that thing on his outside shoulder and let him drop step and get vertical and split those two defenders and we can get on it.
Coach Ray asks on the shoot, how do you keep the DN out the window? Had a few balls knocked down by the DN this year.
It happens from time to time. Really don't do anything special. We pass pro him. He usually takes himself out of the picture or we hitch up. That's really not been a big problem enough that we had to ever actually really worry about it.
Run dart.
I know early on, Coach Momey would actually cut those guys on stick. I don't think even he does that anymore.
Well, and the other thing is if he's running up the field like that, you can run your dart play or your counter or something like that. It's going to be hard for him to squeeze, and so you have to kind of, I think, set him up with some other stuff.
Oh no, we talked about that. That's one of the beauties of running counter and option is you make their tails get gap sound in a hurry.
Yeah,
they're working all week on squeezing the counter just as much as they are trying to pass rush from. We don't ever see a wide nine. Once you get good at counter and option, you don't ever see a wide nine jetting up the field.
I'm telling you guys, I'm trying my best to talk Coach Dular into putting a course together on counter because nobody runs it better than they do. And just do a couple of videos on counter, either put them on the channel or put a course up on CoachTube for you guys. I'm telling you, if you saw his run game clinic Saturday at Air Raid Intensive, and if you're any of those guys that were at the clinic or in the chat right now, you can back me up on this. You were ready to go home and put GT in right now. Because the way they run GT with the option piece to it, and then you add, the air raid passing game, there was a reason why they were in the state semifinals down there in South Carolina.
Well, I appreciate that. Good players had a lot to do with that too.
Well, I mean, great players make great coaches, right, Coach?
There's no doubt about that. No
Yeah,
doubt.
I was talking the other day. I did that video on about being a head coach, doing the interview and stuff like that. And I talked about how Coach Four, if you guys don't follow him at Coach Four FORE, he runs 8laces.org, and he has a resume site. He looks at resumes and works with you in the hiring process. A lot of college guys use him and stuff. He's an admin down in South, California now. He got out of coaching for a while, but Coach Ford looked at my resume and I had a spot on there that talked about like some of my key players that I coached. And he kind of red pinned it, and he said, "Coach, them guys was going to be good with or without you." And I was like, you know what? He's right. He's right. So I took that section out of my resume based on something he had said about that. He's like, "Look, Coach, them guys were probably going to be good whether you coached them or not." And I looked at the list, and a lot of them would have been, except for all them rides I gave them to and from practice.
Yeah. How many McDoubles did you buy?
Oh my days, man! I kept McDonald's in Red Springs, North Carolina, in business for about 3 years. I promise. Between that and Pizza Hut, oh my days! I fed more kids. And speaking of feeding kids, that's a good segue to that. This month, for every system we sell, we're going to donate $5 to UNICEF USA. I've just decided every month we're going to do a charity. Last month it was the Movember charity, and we donated $325 to Movember for men's health and stuff. So this month we're going to donate to UNICEF. So for every system we sell, we're gonna donate $5 to at UNICEF USA to help, with hunger and things like that with kids in the United States and stuff like that. So if there's a charity that you know of that's kind of national, those kind of things like that, and you want us to try to help support them, whether we donate $5 or $500. Hit me up on Twitter and let me know. If you want to donate to the program, if you're already an Air Raid System member and you don't want to buy the system again or anything like that, you can go to our website at 92meshgroup.com into the community section, and there's actually a place where you can donate to that cause as well. And for every dollar you donate, I will put you in a drawing. We're doing a giveaway right now for a coach's polo, but next month we're going to do a drawing for a hat. So, if you donate $1, that's one entry into a drawing for a hat too. So just want to try to give back. And, I didn't even realize you were going to say that about feeding kids, but it just reminded me of what we're trying to do. So it gave me a chance to drop that in. All right, looking back into the chat, Coach Weston just came in and said, we used wristbands this year to get in plays, but I want to signal plays, but struggle coming up with signals. Example, jet right, counter left. Let your kids come up with them. Yes. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised what the kids do. The kids come up with stuff, and at the end of the day, they just have to understand it. I like Coach Mummy's signals, to be honest. 1 for 90, and he'll throw the number. 2, 92. He don't care, and don't try to make it overly complicated. I mean, so many guys, I think it's because we grew up in that baseball mentality where you all this and. You feel like I know people that have body clocks, 10, 20, 30, whatever you do. And then I think it also depends on how fast you want to play too, right?
Yeah. I'm with you on the letting the kids come up with it. If we come up with a new tag that week for something we want to do, a lot of times we'll either name it after the team we're playing or we'll let the kids decide. And if you let them come up with a name or the signal, those jokers will remember it.
Oh yeah.
We will.
Yeah.
2 years later, I'm not going to remember that tag, and they'll say, "Hey, you remember when we ran that Joker tag back in?"
Right.
They know it. They come up with it. They'll know it.
Yeah, and that's about buy-in, and Coach Benfield. Hey, Coach Benfield, you're exactly right on that deal. I know a couple of colleges where they go, one hand right, 2 hands left, or like you're saying, 2 hands for right, 1 hand for left. Signal jet with the hand. That's a good idea right there to talk about with that deal. So I mean, I get that more often than I think. Every time I start talking air raid with people, the conversation always gets to how do you signal plays, how do you call plays. We have a poll up on our website right now. What topics would you like to see more videos and courses on? And if I looked at it and I watch it, it'll change right now. Yeah, 46% of the respondents right now are talking about game planning and calling plays. So I'm sure this kind of fits into that deal. as far as what people want to hear and want to see coming from us and the air raid community. So those are some things that we'll talk about. I know Coach Knapp and I had talked a little bit about doing some more work with his scripting thing. And guys, speaking of that polo, we got 9 days left, and there's 243 entries. You don't have to buy anything. You just go over to the website into the community section, and you'll be able to get a polo just like what I have on right here. The 92 Mesh Group Performance Polo. It's actually pretty cool. Coach Dular's got one. It looked kind of good on him. I thought he was sharp in it. But if you go to that 92 thing, oh, look at that. Coach Salas just called. How about that? Let's see if we can't get him in. Let's see. Add to the call. Let's see what happens. Coach, you there? Coach Salas. Hey, look at there.
How's the volume working?
Oh man, you don't even sound drunk this time.
All right.
Yeah. Can you hear Coach Salas, Joe? Shane?
Yeah, sounds perfect.
Yeah. Hey, Shane said to tell you that it was at 9:00, not 9:26.
I just got back from that carrier recruiting fair.
Oh, okay. Well, Coach, what we're in here talking about right now is the air raid chat questions tonight online were about. Let me see if I can pull them back up real quick. They wanted to talk about what do you want to see from your box coach, whether you wanted to look at coverage and leverage, and Shane and I talked a little bit about how iPads have kind of changed that a little bit. And then the other thing was we were just debating whether or not we run shoot routes or swing routes on stick.
I want my box guy looking at the far side of the field. So corner, safety, walk player. I want him to dominate the far side of the field because I can obviously see my side. You're laughing. Am I going bad on volume?
No, you sound perfect, but that's exactly what Shane said.
Well, it must be right then.
That's exactly what Shane said. Shane said, "I'm really looking about the walk player and this guy." I mean, it's pretty much the same thing that you just said. So
yeah, they'll dominate the far side. I'll dominate the near side. But especially we found out we finally played on the field that had a good crown on it.
Yeah,
and I just could not see that side of the field, but he can see it perfect.
I tell you what. Pine Forest, there's a high school around us called Pine Forest High School down here. They have the biggest crown I've ever seen on a football field. If you throw it from the left hash to the right hash, man, it's going downhill. Like, it's going to go up and over, up and over. I've never seen a crown like that. So,
yeah, I can't remember where we were. We were in the playoffs when we hit one that it was a beautiful field, but it had a crown on it we weren't used to. Ours is so run down, it's dead flat. It might be hollow in the middle.
Yeah. So
on stick, I like the swing, and I don't hate no one that loves to shoot because Shane told me that it just comes out so much faster when you run the shoot, and I believe him, but I'm a swing guy.
Yeah, well, I think, and Coach Dular, if you want to jump in and tell him what you were saying about the negative yardage aspect, maybe that'll kind of explain to him what you were talking about.
Yeah, I actually saw somebody else in the chat also said the same thing. For me, when you throw the swing, if you have an athletic defense, that walk and corner can triangle your back and tackle you. You got to run 5 yards to get back to even, and They can triangle you off and stop you for a 1 yard gain sometimes. And when you catch the shoot route, that's a minimum 2-3 yard completion on the catch. So to me, I just like the fact that I'm guaranteed positive yardage.
I buy it. I mean, I buy the argument for the shoots. I like the ball in my tailback's hands with his ability to see the defense because I think he's going to win out there in space.
Mm-hmm. So yeah,
I buy it the other way. I mean, I buy it both ways. I just say you pick your way and you go with it.
Yeah, and the thing that I was talking about is I felt like by running the swing, it opened it made the window clearer for the quarterback to read. Because I think it created more space. So those are all really good answers on that deal. Let's jump back into the air raid chat. Let's see if I can find some other stuff. Coach, here's one on your outside zone. How much outside zone did you run this year, Joe?
A little bit more than last year.
Yeah,
Still a good
there's a
play.
question
I think
about whether or
Shane's
not
better at it.
there's a question on whether or not you pull your lineman on 38, 39. So I guess it's a pin and pull thing. I kind of like the pin and pull. I fell in love with some of that stuff Coach Mackey was talking about when I looked at it some this spring. But I'm such a big jet sweep guy. You know that, so I really don't worry about pulling too many people on the outside zone part of it because I was talking to somebody today and he was like, "Hey, what are your 3 runs?" And I was like, "Man, I can only have 3." I'm struggling with that because there's a lot of stuff going on right now in the offense that I really, really like, but I still have to restrain myself. I don't know if you happen to see where Coach Mack from Play Fast Football put a video out today on YouTube. He did a 30-minute class on the air raid. Said he talked to 20 or 30 guys and everybody told him something different. What is the air raid? And I thought it was interesting because I think all 3 of us would probably say the same thing because we kind of come off from the same tree. But he finally came to the conclusion that it was process and reps and things like that. But the same thing with that outside zone. I know I went to San Francisco a few years back to a clinic out there, and I got a chance to listen to Brian Hamilton, who's a college coach now, but he was really successful at Concord High School. And at the time, I didn't realize that he was an air raid guy. I know he does some things with Tony Franklin, but I watched his drills on vertical setting and stuff like that, and I was just kind of like, that's. But I wasn't all in. I didn't really understand it. But he had 2 runs. He ran outside zone and counter tray, and that was it. So,
Tony Franklin went through some years where he was just outside zone, but I'd like to. I'm too dumb to learn the pin and pulls so far. I've tried. I just do it Shane's way. We'll wear bucket cross run, and it'll work itself out. And, when you're such a heavy counter team, they squeeze so hard on you that outside zone's almost a gimme.
I know there's some guys on the internet who are doing a lot of outside zone stuff. I know Coach Caduti does some stuff. When I teach outside zone, I'm a drop cross run guy. And the big coaching point that I like to use is I want to take my inside hand and attack his outside number. So as I drop cross and run, I want to keep my shoulder square and I want to try to punch his outside number with my inside hand. And so as he moves, really what that does is it gets you right down the track. And then on the back side of that, I want to drop cross and I want to try to catch the butt of the guy next to me. So we're kind of doing elephants on parade on that. But at the point of attack, I'm definitely a bucket step guy. And speaking of bucket steps, let me drop a cheap plug in for my boy. Congratulations to my old college teammate Sean Clark, who's going to be the new head football coach at Appalachian State University. Really excited for Sean. I think he's going to do a great job. He bleeds Mountaineer black and gold, and I know talking to a bunch of my buddies today and. We were so excited that Sean was going to be the interim coach, but then they're going to take the tag off on him already and make him permanent, and he deserves a job, and we're really excited for him and the opportunity he's going to have up there at Appalachian to continue that program. So just wanted to say congratulations to Sean. It's well-deserved. He's an Appalachian man through and through. He's paid his dues, and I think he's going to do a good job up there. All right,
Where did the last guy come from?
He was the OC at NC State. And there was a lot of people were a little disappointed that they went outside of the family to get him, but I think he did a good job. He came in with the right attitude. It wasn't like, I'm gonna stay and leave. What do? You're at Appalachian and you have a Power 5 come in at the SEC and offer you the money that they offered him. You can't tell him no, but as a guy who's an Appalachian man through and through, I never want to hear that my school is a stepping stone. So we got to continue to do the things that we can do to make people want to stay. And he went to Missouri, and good luck to him. And I hope they don't have to play us because then we'll just have to tear them hind parts up. But other than that, no big deal.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with a $3 million pay increase.
Well, same thing with Scotty. Scotty got a $3 million pay increase when he left Apt and went to Louisville. I mean, and Scotty,
are they paying him $1 million at Apt?
it's close. It's close. I mean, I'm not looking at the checkbook, but we're getting there. We keep playing the way we're playing. We're going to try to be more and more competitive. But there's not a bigger mountaineer on the planet than Scott Satterfield. So when Louisville came and offered him all that money, I mean, he had no choice but to leave. But I think some people were just frustrated that Coach Drink came for stayed a year and left, and it's like he's getting while the getting is good. But one thing I will say about Appalachian, man, we're not a team, we're a program. We believe in certain things, and as long as Coach Moore is around that program, there's going to be certain core values and things like that, and that's what we're talking. He still comes around the program a lot and stuff like that. And that's what I was speaking of that right there, Coach. I was just telling everybody how we're going to be on with Randy Jackson tomorrow during lunchtime.
Yeah, man, I'm fired up.
Yeah, I sent you the Zoom thing. We'll get that on the podcast sometime tomorrow afternoon. It won't be live because it's just too hard to do it from school, but. That was the only time we could get him on, and he sold over 5,000 copies of that book, Culture Over Strategy. So really excited to talk to him. I'm really excited we could work it out to get you on with him, because I told Shane it'll probably be the first time in my life where I just sit there like this.
Well, I don't believe that.
If you haven't figured it out, I'm a little bit of a talker.
Out, man. There's stuff about him you don't know. It's not only the book, but he is. He's one of the characters. Brian Cain has a series of books, and he's one of the characters in that book. So I'm going to
is that the book that you were talking about Saturday? You were talking about some books Saturday?
Well, no, I named Brian Cain as a resource, but Randy Jackson is a big Brian Cain guy, and they're actually friends. So they came out with this series of books all on building culture, and Randy plays like the old guru coach on the what do they call on the audio books.
Oh, okay.
Of course, I had to listen to all the audio books, so I'm going to be all geeked
out.
So
you're not going to fanboy on me, Coach, are you?
Oh yeah, I might.
Well, hey, I can just tell you from the little bit of interaction that I've had with Coach, we've been trying to make this happen since back in the summer. But by the time we were able to get everything together, the season started, and obviously he was busy and stuff like that. But just really, really excited for him and to have him on. So that'll be fun. That'll be tomorrow. So you guys look out for that on the podcast. Jumping back in on the air raid chat. Let's see if there's anything new that people have posted. I have such a hard time following this thing sometimes. Guys are talking about that when they're calling outside zone, if they get a Okie front, they're going to automatically pin and pull it. So it's just kind of like a line call, which I think makes a lot of sense. Let's see what else. And guys, if you're in the chat with us here, if you have another question that you want to ask, hit us up. Coach Wood says he gets frustrated teaching pin and pull because he doesn't understand it enough or can't verbalize it well enough. Don't tell anybody I said this, but talk to one of them wing tee guys, because really that's what pin and pull is. I mean, basically you're gap down, kicking in.
Say it. It's Buck Sweet. That's what it is.
It really is.
Now, when I see Coach Mackey teaching on this video, he keeps pulling that center.
Yeah.
And I keep looking at it saying the angle tells me pull both guards.
Right.
Get around the corner with it, so it would look exactly like Buck Sweet.
I think that might be the issue. People are afraid to do that. They're afraid to pull both guards.
A lot of guys that run it actually read that thing, Joe, and decide who's going to pull it based on the technique.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if they had a one, center would block back and they would pull both guards.
Right.
Like what Mackey doesn't, he pulls the center and has the guard step over and cut off. But I keep looking at it saying, I'd pull both them guards right there.
Yeah, hey, I would too.
Coach Knapp.
I don't know good enough yet.
Coach Knapp is sneaking into the chat room talking about run ISO.
He don't know. Me and Shane,
that's his answer to everything.
Yeah. Well,
me and Shane used to run ISO down people's throat back in the day now.
Well, I ain't mad at you.
Hey, we would have lost our air raid card back then when we literally got in the eye to run ISO. We'd go 4 wide, run our spread stuff, and then get in the eye and run ISO.
And we kept saying, hey, why don't they run two different defenses
Yeah.
on? And then one day they did. and it ruined the party.
Yeah, no doubt.
Then
No
we
doubt.
became a zone team.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, I was a big counter power ISO guy, and then I got into a little bit more open sets and I for a long time didn't think you could move the football running one back stuff. I think probably what's changed that, I don't know, you guys chime in on this if you want to, but I think what's changed that is people's ability to add that quarterback in, and that quarterback being that seventh guy, because 15 years ago, people were scared to run the quarterback.
Who do you credit with that, Shane? Was that Rodriguez that started reading that backside?
I think he's the first one that kind of got notoriety with it. I mean, at a big level. When he started doing it, and everyone kind of followed suit. I think part of it, George, though, is I think just in high school we've gotten better at throwing the football, and that's made people cover down more, and now the box is a little easier to run on. I mean, back in the day when people would just line up and cover 3 or man and keep 8 guys in the box, yeah, it was hard to run one back. But,
well, and you could do that. What all everybody did was run fades and hook curl flat. You didn't see a lot of. I can remember watching a video a long time ago, the very first video. Remember how you used to go to the clinic, and that coach's choice section at the clinic was the most crowded section because everybody been there trying to pick up videos and stuff. Now everything's download and internet and stuff like that. But I can remember watching a shallow cross video for one time, and I can't remember the guy's name. He was coaching at Florida State at the time, and he put out a shallow cross video. And I remember watching it and just thinking, wow, I mean, I wish we can't do that though, And I think that was just us being scared to do that. But yeah, I do think being able to go one back has a lot to do with like being able to read that end and then like the stuff that we did at Red Springs, Joe, with running switch, and like Shane does with counter Q and things like that. Just being able to keep the same blocking scheme, but now you have 2 different guys who can run it.
It's a true 2-back backfield.
Yeah, and then of course I'm waiting for it. I could start at 10 right now, start counting down backwards before somebody's going to say in the chat, "It's just single wing, coach. Just single wing." I do think football. I think football is cyclical, though. It does come back around. I mean, you're going to see somebody in some wishbone before too long. But got a bunch of questions in the chat, fellas, about running the offense with middle school players and less talented offensive linemen. Just some ideas you guys might have on that.
I think it's more the coaching that restricts you at that level than it is the players. I do think if you have a dedicated O-line coach and a dedicated skilled coach, you can run a lot of our same stuff, especially countering our base quick game. But if you got 2 guys trying to do everything with a couple parents that show up every now and again, I do think it's tough. You better run a very, very simple offense and defense.
I think that's having the discipline to limit your package is what hurts a lot of those guys. I'm always the guy that gives people hope. We ran my first year at Hopton. We ran some practices in the summertime and at summer camp with 2 coaches and ran great practices. I didn't think it was possible, but we did it. And on both sides, we'd go offense and then flip and go defense. And they were quality, good practices. So I think you're capable of doing it, but you got to limit yourself to what you're doing. And that's where people kill themselves, is they want to do too much and they want to keep adding stuff. And, they got to keep reminding themselves, stick to your package. And we're not a game plan team. We're a rep team.
Yeah, and that's probably the best way to say it. We're not a game plan team. We're a rep team. If you've been following any of the Facebook groups that are on, guys have been talking about, hey, I'm a new OC. Anybody have any ideas about implementing this package and that package and all this other stuff? And I talked about that in my becoming a head coach video as well. guys go in there with these 30 and 40 page playbooks, and those principals aren't looking at that stuff. They don't care. You know, they want to know if you can get them to go to class and do the right things. And I like I said, I was talking to somebody today, and he asked me what my 3 runs were, and I was just like, I was like, well, I know I'm going to run counter. You know, that means counter and counter Q. I'm going to probably run some inside zone. You know, okay, now where do we go? Because there's like 5 different other ones that I want to throw in there. But then I have to say, how much time can we practice? CNAP popped in the comments down there, and he talks about the 3-day install being the key. And I tell you what, you guys, you middle school guys, if you have some questions about that, hit up Chris on Twitter at CNAP87. Chris actually was a middle school head coach for a little while up in Ohio. He got out of high school coaching and went over there, and I think it was in Ohio where the middle school was. He lives up there really close to the border, so like you can go to the bathroom in Ohio and then eat lunch in West Virginia.
He lives like 5 states, doesn't he?
Something like that, yeah. If he lays down, it's kind of like that spot in Arizona, you know, where you lay down, you can be in 4 states at one time. It might even be unincorporated. Who knows? The state of Franklin. Isn't that a video? A movie?
I'll chime in kind of what you're saying too. You know, for the new OC, playbook's great. You can win a state championship running any offense ever created. All of them will work.
Yeah.
What makes them different, I mean, what makes it good or not, is whether or not you have a plan to practice that offense. And I think that's the strength of our offense, obviously, is, you know, ours is kind of systemized. But come up with a plan to practice your offense before you come up with, you know, the 400-page playbook. Because that doesn't mean anything if you can't practice it. Have a plan how you're going to do that over 4 days.
CNAP said he's a gypsy, by the way. He just typed in that he's a gypsy.
Well, what Matt was saying is I think the key to the whole deal is that insert schedule.
Yeah.
To it, whether it's 3, like mine's 4-day, everyone else is 3-day, but it don't matter. Have an insert schedule that you're repeating over and over and over to get your reps and to get your whole offense in. And that's what I don't know that other systems have that, and I think that's where ours jumps over a lot of them.
Well, I actually did a middle school system off of the total air raid system. I pared it down, and I did several other little videos, and I wasn't going to mention that, but Coach Age just put it in there that we do have a middle school system on CoachTube if you guys want to look at it. It talks, you know, we don't run mesh at the middle school level. We basically going to run verts, and we're going to run shallow, we're going to run stick, we're going to run corner, we're going to run slant, and then our running game is basically going to be outside zone, jet, and you know, either counter or either power or counter, depending on what your lineman can do. And once again, like Coach said, you know, we're not a game plan offense. You know, we're a rep offense, and you just do what you do.
We never run slant on JV or middle school.
Really?
On that, yeah, because you call that 7 and 9 OSCE on JV. It's going to get picked. They just don't see that walk players for some reason.
Yeah, well, that's probably why I've thrown a few OSCEs on JV, but that, you know, and that's tough for me to hear you say, because I know how much you love slant. I mean,
you know I do, but our great quarterback that took us to the state championship, and he was a war daddy. But on JV, if we called 7 and 9, he was throwing a pick. There's just something about that level; they're not ready for it yet.
We run the hell out of slant on JV.
Yeah, it just seems like it's one of those plays that you just gotta have in there, and you just, I don't know. Okay, here we got Coach Attaway. Is that?
Don't do it.
Yeah, Coach Attaway says, say you have a zone blocking scheme, you can use the 8 for a split. He says you can use the 8 for split zone. You can use the Y to start arc blocking to keep the quarterback keep. So he's just talking about using the same blocking scheme and then using Y and H to kind of change it up a little bit, especially if you get into the 2-back stuff. I saw something on Twitter the other day about people doing running split zone action with outside zone. Shane, y'all ever do anything like that? Have you seen any of that stuff?
Yeah. I mean, a little bit, but we don't typically do that. I mean, we haven't. We've done it before, but if I got a second back in there on outside zone, we typically lead them out there. I mean,
yeah,
because you don't need it. I mean, the only reason why you do it is to set up a boot or play action of some kind. I mean, because there's no way a backside player is going to be tackling an outside zone. I mean, so it's not critical to the blocking scheme. It's only good if you want to throw the boot and waggle or something off of it.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. I'm just kind of checking out to see what's going on the air raid chat and see if there's anything else. We got about 30 guys in here with us right now, so that's pretty good over here. Coach Bedwell. I don't know if you had a chance to meet Coach Bedwell, but if you got any players, fellas, and they're at the JUCO level, hit up at Stan Bedwell. He's a JUCO coach up in Minnesota. He plays in the offseason in the European League, and they're just winning championships left and right. But he's talking about how they never pull linemen. And speaking of championships, let me put a shameless plug in for my guys down in Brazil, the Cascavel Olympians. Their head coach is a member of the Total Air Raid system, and they just won the championship in their league down there this year. And he sent me a picture of them holding the trophy and everything, and they're down there spinning it to win in Brazil. And I'm like, yo, can I come to the banquet? Shout out to coaching them down there. Michelle, and he's got 3 or 4 hyphenated names. It's De Oliveira or something. I follow him on Facebook. He's a cool dude, but I've talked to him several times, and we helped him out with the system, and he sent me a hat, and I love his saying on his hat. It's embrace the myth, become the legend.
Ooh.
That's sharp, isn't it? Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty cool. But they have a semi-pro league down there in Brazil, and they're trying to grow the game and do some things. But shout out to Coach down there in Cascavel for winning that championship. That was really cool. I was just sitting there the other night when he sent me the message and the picture, and I thought to myself, when we started the mesh group, there's no way that I thought that we would be winning championships in Brazil by teaching somebody how to run shallow cross.
We're huge in Brazil.
Yeah. Well, hey, I mean, we've sold systems all over the world. We've got guys in Austria and Germany and Australia and England, and
I'm hoping for a head coaching position to come open in Grand Cayman. I got my resume ready when that.
It'll be a head waiter position probably down there in one of them nice restaurants. But no, I just think it's so interesting how football can bring so many people together, even in your schools. You look at. You look at a school where, whatever the tensions are, whether it's racial or economical or things like that. But on Friday night, all those guys wear the same colors and they get after it. And it's just it's the greatest game on earth. It really is. And you talk about it so much, Coach, about what football's done for you. And I'm just really excited for us to talk to Coach Jackson about that tomorrow. And but like I said, shout out to those boys in Brazil and just, like I said, hey, if you guys once again go over to the website, sign up for the giveaway. We're giving away a free coaches polo this month. You don't have to buy anything. You just sign up with your email and you get some entries and things like that. So like I said, we're going to give back. Also, $5 for every system this month is going to UNICEF. Okay, we're going to pick a charity every month. And last month it was Movember. This month is UNICEF USA. So if there's a charity that's near and dear to your heart, let me know, and we'll put them on the list for January. And I don't care if we donate $5 or $25 or $500. But if you're already a Total Air Raid System member and you want to be a part of that, go over to the website. You can donate, and we'll do just like I did last month. We'll do a video, and you'll see me donate the money, and we'll put it on YouTube for everybody to see, just so you know that that's where the money's going, and just. I just really feel like we need to give back, and it's part of that culture, and it's part of giving back to the game that's given so much to us. Jerry, all of us are air raid certified coaches. Our system is very similar to Coach Mummy certified, except I learned how to become a Jedi from Luke Skywalker. If you want to be a real Jedi, you got to learn from Yoda. I mean, if you. You're going to learn a lot of the stuff. What I tell people is if you're just learning the air raid, you're probably better off looking at some of the stuff that we put out, the videos that Coach Salas does on his channel, stuff I do on my channel, and then, the course itself. Get yourself a good foundation and then go jump into the certification course. Because I know even though I had a year of air raid under my belt, when I went to Tony Franklin, my brain almost blew up. Because it's just so much information to process and stuff like that. But when you do have a basis, it makes it a little bit easier. Coach Knapp's is dropping Navy SEAL stuff on us, Coach Salas. He says, just remember that when it comes to this offense, we don't rise to our expectations. We fall back on our training. The reps and install are crucial. Yeah.
I'm gonna steal that one.
Start flying, you fall back to your.
Oh yeah, that's that. If you, matter of fact, shameless plug on the website again. If you go to our shop page on the website, I put together a coaching library of just books that I like to read, or I have read, and one of those is that Extreme Leadership by Jocko Willink. It's in there. We have a list of different books that we've read. And those leadership lessons from the Navy SEALs is such a good one because they talk about that. When times go hard, you're going to fall back on your training, things that become second nature to you. And you go back in there and look at those kind of things. And
did you read that one, or did you do it on audio book?
Which one? The Extreme Leadership?
Yeah, Jocko.
No, I did it on audio book because I would listen to it on the bus during away games.
I'm listening to a second one now, and both of them are awesome. If you listen to them on audio.
Yeah, well, he's got that distinctive voice too, man. Because you can tell by his tone when he really means what he's saying. Like, he's not just making money reading words. But no, I did that, and I downloaded it onto my phone, and I'd listen to it on the bus on the way to the games or whatever. Just listen to him talk about that kind of stuff because I'm to the point now where I'm almost addicted to leadership books, man. It's crazy, and it's all your fault, I believe.
Well, the way he goes back and forth between the military stories and the business stories are just his books are awesome.
Yeah, no doubt. Coach H comes in and says, "Discipline equals freedom." That's a good quote. As a matter of fact, hey, let's do this, guys. Let me get a spam in the comments. Give me your best one-liner, your best coaching one-liner. Let's have some talk about some coaching one-liners. What are they? I can already tell you I got two, and I stole them both from Coach Salas. Details make champions, and little things make big things. Those are the two that I say probably the most, and I use them in my everyday life. And so go ahead and give me some of the good ones that you may or may not have. Coach Ray wants to know in 95, do we prefer fade 8-10 yard out or now screen or slot fade? I mean, all of those are good, Coach. I mean, it just really depends. Those are all like kind of tags. I think as long as you're attached to those bubbles. Coach Riggins, nothing is given, everything is earned. Coach Attaway, anybody can be average, don't be average. Here's one: special teams are for special people. That's a good one, too. Coach Napier just shut the whole thing down, man. Joe Salas, better than Chuck Norris. Oh, he's gassing them up. Jump back over to the chat. Let's see what we got over here. See if there's anything.
I got another book, The Compound Effect.
The Compound Effect. Who wrote it?
Let me look it up. Got it on my phone. It's gonna take a second. All my dang apps are shutting down because my memory's so low on my phone.
Well, you know how to turn those things off, right?
But it's been doing it for me. There it is. It's a awesome book though, and it applies to a lot of areas. Let's see, Compound Effect.
Okay. By Darren Hardy.
Yeah, that's it. You Googled that faster than I could find it.
Well, I am sitting at my computer, Coach, so we'll cut you loose.
The other Jocko one, the one I'm listening to now, is The Dichotomy of Leadership, and it's just as good as Extreme Ownership.
Coach Age says The Alchemist is a great quick read as well.
I've heard that one is awesome.
Yeah, so maybe that's what we need to do one night. Just come on the podcast and talk a little bit about some of the books that we've read and with some of the things that people are looking at. But yeah, I might have to check that Compound Effect out, Coach. I just picked up a couple of John Gordon books this morning. I got I picked up Training Camp, and you went in the locker room first today. I haven't
Both
read
of
it.
those are
I
fantastic.
haven't read either one of those, so I thought I would look at them over the break. I just got done. The Energy Bus is one of my favorites. I also like the Coffee Bean. Obviously, is really good, and I've read both of the Coffee Bean books. Coach Woods, if you'll go to our website, 92meshgroup.com, and go to the shop, go into the coaching library, and there's a link to all of those books. I mean, I'm not telling you to go buy the books, but what I'm saying is all the ones that we're talking about are pretty much in that book, in that spot. There's about 20 books in there right now where you can see the pictures and articles, and you click on them, and it'll take you to the Amazon spot to look at them and stuff like that.
All those Brian Cain books. There's a whole series of Brian Cain books that are really good, and Randy Jackson plays one of the
Yeah, like you were telling me that, and then the other Randy Jackson book I've read, Culture Defeats Strategy. Me and my head coach at Grace Creek read that two springs ago, but I want to read Coach 'Em Up, the other book he wrote, which is about coaching coaches. It's called
I went to his website this morning, and he has. He's got some downloadable. He's got some audio, some downloadable stuff like coaches' evaluation forms and parent meetings. I mean, he's got some pretty good stuff on there.
Cool. Well, like I said, man, I'm really excited to have him on tomorrow. We'll get that on and try to have that. So we'll do a premiere tomorrow night, guys. So if you want to sit there and watch the video with us, I can share some of the stuff with you through that conversation. Like I said, I'd love to be able to do it live, but with him being in Texas and us being here and still being in school, the best way to do it was just to do a video and save it and then get it up on the podcast as soon as possible. And you'll be able to listen to the podcast probably on the way home, because I'll get that up real quick. Don't take but a second. And then come home at night and get it up on YouTube for those of you guys who like to watch it on YouTube. If you want to hear us talk, we've been on here pretty much every week. If you want to hear us on the podcast, you can follow us at squadron533.podbean.com. We upload these videos on there. Coach Age says the score takes care of itself by Bill Walsh. Reminds him a lot of you, Coach Salas, in your culture change video that you did on your channel. And that's high praise. Coach DC said, how you do anything is how you do everything. That's a good quote right there. That's a good one.
That's a Brian Cain.
Yeah, so Coach, you go make me go get a Brian Cain scholarship, man. I'm going to have to reach out to that cat, see if we can't get Brian Cain on the channel now. All he can do is say no. Anybody know Brian Cain, tell him to DM me. At Coach Colthar.
You talk to Randy tomorrow, talk to him. They're good buddies.
Yeah, so like I said, just want to get that kind of stuff. It's about that time. I can tell by Coach Dular's eyes. It's getting past his bedtime. Of course, it was past his bedtime when we started. He had to ask permission to stay up late. So let's get ready to wrap it up. Any last thoughts, Coach, about some of the stuff we've talked about tonight?
Nah, man, you did a great job tonight. And that's the clinic Saturday was big, and looking forward to the one coming in the spring.
Yeah, no doubt. And like I said, guys, if you guys are going to be at AFCA in January, I know Coach Salas and I are planning on going. I got to see if we can get Coach Dular out of the house long enough to do that. He's a math teacher, so he's got to teach people how to count and stuff. But if you're going to be at AFCA, let us know, man. We'll eat some wings together. And we went to a really good spot to eat while we were down here at the clinic. So if you guys come to the clinic in May, I'll take you back over to Max Speed Shop. You can get some burnt ends and some smoked wings. Those things were pretty good. And say what?
That place was awesome.
Yeah, it was. It was really great. And it's one of those places where the food does not match the exterior. So you look.
No, I would have never walked in that place if you wouldn't have took us there. But it was awesome.
Yeah, it looks like.
I've had a lot of people reaching out from that clinic Saturday. They really thought it was a great clinic.
Well, I'm really glad. We learned a lot of lessons as far as technology wise, and had to buy a camera and some other different things. So I'm really excited with what we're going to be able to do in May and getting things. And like I said, I'm just really excited for everybody. If you guys want to help us with the clinic, we do have a patreon.com/92meshgroup. If you guys donate a little bit every month to help us pay for those things. We had a sponsor help us. If you guys go check out Just Play Solutions, they were nice enough to help us try to offset some of the costs for the clinic, because we only sold like 25 or 30 tickets. We didn't sell out, but I like the fact, and I knew that it was a bad time to do a clinic, but I wanted to do it so we could get some of the kinks worked out. And I think we learned a lot from that stuff. And just remember, Coach Lopez, we would love to come down to Texas. I know that I'm working on trying to come watch a Dallas Renegades game at some point with Coach Mummy between sometime in February or March. Like I have a birthday in March, so maybe somebody will get me a ticket to go to the game down there. But I'd love to come to Texas. Last time I was there with Coach Salas, we were down in San Antonio at the Air Raid Clinic. Love it down there. Food's great. Football's even better. But yeah, we'd like to do that. Just so you guys know, tickets will be on sale for Air Raid Nation here pretty soon. We'll get all that stuff out. Got a great lineup. Like I said, every $5 of every system we sell this month is going to go to UNICEF USA. So if you haven't bought your Air Raid system, right now there's a coupon. Use UNICEF 92. You get $20 off the system. And then also, if you complete the system, you get $100 off the new update that has all the cut-ups and all the other stuff that we're putting in it. So with that being said, appreciate you guys. And I need to get one of those catchy end phrases like Coach Mackey has. His is like a sentence long. I can't remember all that, so I just say, spin it to win.